is Worldview and welcome to the show. I'm Yvonne Katsande. Well, today we are going to be talking about a culture that seems perhaps maybe neglected in South Africa, but almost and not at all. So we are talking about the culture of the Khoisan right here in South Africa. Now, concerns have been raised about the lack of transformation for South Africa's indigenous people after the three Khoisan leaders who staged a sit-in outside the union buildings in Pretoria reached day 3 of their protest. The trio, who walked for 3 weeks from the Eastern Cape to the capital city, were in demanding that their status as the indigenous people of the country be officially recognized, and particularly that the constitution changes their status as coloreds to instead be referred to as Khoisan. They also want the 1930 Land Claims Act to be removed, saying it prevents them from claiming land. Now, the narratives of the Khoi Khoi and the San people have been overshadowed in a political landscape dominated by Bantu-speaking groups as a result of their sheer numbers. Bantu-speaking groups have both a moral responsibility and, as South Africans, a constitutional obligation to ensure inclusivity in the pursuit to reclaim land from the settlers. Thus far, the attitude as Bantu-speaking groups towards the Khoi Khoi and the San people has been disingenuous and has not created conditions to unify indigenous people towards a common goal of getting back the land. So I'm joined in studio today by a very interesting panel, an original panel that will actually help me discuss this land issue, tackle the cultural challenges head on. Thank you so much for joining us today on Worldview. I know it's a rather rare panel that I have today, but a very interesting one. Now, we're going to do something here together. You're going to help me by introducing yourselves, because I think I have to learn the language first. Then I'll be able to pronounce this properly, right? I will start with you here, my immediate right.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. My name is Frederick. My surname is Pierre, but this is a surname which was given to us, to my father, to my grandfather. This is not actually our surname, and there's a long story. But
it was probably because they couldn't pronounce the original, and then they came up with something of their own.
Absolutely, but my name is Acharop, and my surname is Afrikaner.
Right.
I'm a descendant, direct descendant of Karun Hamed Udaram Orlam Afrikaner, which was caught in Cape Town and took to Robben Island, and his remains with his son Afrikaner, and their remains never came back to South Africa. And I'm the acting Deputy Secretary General of the Khoisan Revolution, and I'm from the Nama tribe. And I want to greet you in my language.
Please do.
Maditsa, Pitarapo. We have a language, and we have land. The land of the Namas, the great Namako land, and the small Namako land, the land of the Nama people in the Northern Cape.
Oh, wow. That is very interesting. What a beautiful greeting. Thank you so much. And then I'm going to move on to you, sir.
My name is Piet Berens, is the Western's name. And I'm from the Kalahari Desert. I'm born in the field, and that's my passion. And
you're born in the desert.
I'm born in the desert.
That's where you live.
That's why I'm living, and that's why I'm sitting here in front of you. And my Bushman name is Harukwisi. That means Cheetah Walsha. And my surname is Bushman.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. I will have to learn all this. And then you, sir, on my far right.
Yes. Kangan. Kwenkia. Madisa. To the world, I'm greeting you. Good morning. I'm Prince Stanley Peterson. I'm a member of the National Khoisan Council, which engage with government regarding Khoi and San issues. I'm also the president of a newly political party, Khoisan Revolution, because it's time for us as Khoisan people, we've been left out. So we need to rise and be a voice of our own, instead of sending messengers. That's where I am. I'm from the Northern Cape, specifically Upington. I'm representing the Griqua people. I'm from the royal family as well.
Oh, wow.
And my grandmother was the oldest living person in the world. She died at the age of 139 years old, and nobody in South Africa recognized her.
139
139 years. It's been recorded And nobody in South Africa, there's not even been a street name or nothing been named after. You can Google it. Lena Jantjies was her name.
Wow. All right, now let's get straight into the hot topic of the day here. South Africa is going through a stage where they have to now start doing their land expropriation without compensation. And we know that before we even get there, the Khoi Khoi and the San people have been for the longest time neglected. But these are the original people of the land of South Africa. Am I correct in saying that? Why are the Khoisan still not officially recognized as the original inhabitants of the land of South Africa?
Let me put it this way first for the world to know. Before everything, in the 1300s, we were here in South Africa as the Khoi and San people. We were all over scattered. If you can go through the Congo, Zimbabwe, Botswana, here, all over, our rock arts, the art on the rock, say this is where we traveled. When long before 1652, we were here. Jan van Riebeeck found us here. In 1447, Bartolomeus Diaz found us here. So we were here before the 1400s as the first indigenous people. And here today, we are nothing. Here where I'm sitting, where we're doing the interview in Gauteng. Gauteng was established in 1886. Pretoria next door was established in 1885. But we were here before that. And the strange thing is, in Gauteng, the oldest church are next to, situated in Jackson's Drift. It's more than 150 years. And yet here, in Gauteng, Western Cape, Northern Cape, we are nowhere. Our biggest challenge with the land issue is, I'm a member of the National Khoisan Council, is we are not being engaged as stakeholder. Everybody wants land. We said we're not a racist because people said the lands belong to the blacks. If we said we are blacks, who are black? Because we doesn't define us as black. Because when we apply for a job,
that's a very good point. They don't define you as black, but as coloreds.
Yes.
Who came up with the word coloreds?
Let
Where
me-
does that come from?
Before 1950, South Africa was governed by 29 acts. In 1950, a 13th act was incorporated. That 13th act was called the 1950 Act of 1930, which said all Namas, all Koranas, all Griquas, all Khoi Khoi, and all Bushmen were now being classified as coloureds because they were distinct and they were gone. In 1991, the then President F.W. de Klerk scrapped that 1930 Act of 30, and he said there's no more coloureds. So for us now, where are we now? We was make colours with an act number 30 of 1950, and in 1991 he scrapped that act of 1930 of 1950. So for us, it's an insult if you call us a coloured, because a colour doesn't have a language, a colour doesn't have a land. Yet we want to be called either Khoisan are the same name like the Nguni. Under the Nguni, we've got a Xhosa, Zulu, Pedi. Amongst us, if you call us Khoisan, there are 5 main groupings. It is the Nama, the Griqua, the Korana, the Khoi Khoi, and the San. Those are the 5 main groupings. And underneath the groupings, if you look at the San, you've got 3 main groupings in South Africa. Is the Ngu, or the Komanisan, the Kwe, the Kun, and the Kam.
So the term color, did it not come because in today's world, coloreds are referred to as mixed,
As
a mixed race. So is it because there was something mixed back then?
We don't know who mixed who. All that we're saying is we were found here.
Yes.
So
As
we
the
cannot be
original
as original
inhabitants of
people.
the
So
land.
whoever comes and mix with, it's their story. But our problem is this: colored was being called an act number 30 of 1950, and then it was scrapped in 1991. So in fact now, if you look at the classification, you look at color. We didn't bring color in here. We are Khoisan. Never will you find we call us colored, because the term color
It does not exist in
doesn't exist in our bylaw.
Okay, now Frederick, going into the land issue, you were found here in South Africa, the settlers came, took the land, and today you're found with no land, no belonging, nothing really to your name. What has the government been actually saying about this? Because I know for a number of times I've gone to Parliament, I've attended Parliament, I've gone to the State of the Nation address, and I've always seen the Khoisan community protesting outside Parliament. But it seems like their voices are just dampened somewhere. Has there been any action from the government?
Not as far as we can recall. The government is slow in transformation, by saying in giving back the land to the original people. The government is very slow and they're dragging their feet, but we are saying the land belongs to us. Everybody is here in South Africa and everybody can stay here because everybody is here anyway. But the ownership of the land, and I want to emphasize this, the ownership of the land belongs to the Khoi and the San people. We were here in the 1100s when the Chinese sailed past the south point of Africa. They found the Khoi Khoi people there. We have land. Griqualand West, the old Griqualand West, the old Griqualand East belongs to the Griquas of Griqualand East and West. The Namaqua land belongs to the Namas, Great Namaqua land and Small Namaqua land.
Who settles in this land currently? Who is there? Have there been any other invaders or any other new settlers that have come in those original lands that you're talking about?
Yes, it's a mixture of cultures.
All right.
Everybody is there.
Okay.
From all races is there in all the provinces, in all these areas where our people used to stay. And Bushman land is the land of the Bushmen. There you can hear it. And there was only Griqualand and Bushman land and Namaqua land. You can see as far as you go from south to north, from west to east, our rock arts is there.
I've
And
seen
that's
it.
the title deed.
I've actually seen it before.
Yes.
I've traveled in different ancient
Yes.
places and I've seen it. It's there.
And what we are saying is, our forefathers could not write.
Right, yeah.
They could not read.
So they would
But
draw
God
art
gave
as
them
a way of
the
communication.
wisdom. God gave them the wisdom to write pictures and to write stories, because all those pictures, there's a story behind every picture which they are drawing.
Yes.
By saying, we were here. We were here first. And mind you, as far as Zambia, Khoisan people lives as far as Zambia. We were all over. Just this morning we learned from Dr. Lenny Martin that the first people in Europe
Were the Khoisan?
was the Khoisan people.
Are you serious?
There's a book.
There's a book out.
Oh, wow.
So we are actually the first inhabitants of the world.
Therefore, you need to be given recognition, decent recognition. Now, South Africa has this land expropriation without compensation. Do you believe in that? The without compensation part of it? Is it something that you believe in? Would you like to take that question?
I think it's not well into the lands with him. But what I can say
Okay.
is Section 26 and 27 of C and B said you cannot take land without compensation. It doesn't work like that, not in the Constitution. You need to compensate.
So who's getting compensated in this case? Is it you, or are they compensating the minority white people that have most of the land in South Africa?
Our problem is this: how can you buy land that's been stolen?
Is he getting
Back.
emotional now?
Yeah, because remember one thing.
About the land issue.
About, he is 50 years old. He doesn't have a home, a piece of land. He applied to the Department of Housing and everybody. But he said he just wants a piece of land where he can teach us here the culture and how to live. And still today, he's been struggling from one department to one government department to have a piece of land. So it's the land issue for him.
And they have
is-
not done anything.
And they haven't done
50
anything.
years
That's why
into his
God
life.
answer his prayers perhaps today with this program for him to tell his story to the world. He's been struggling for 50 years. He even served his country in the war as a military veteran, and still he haven't got any home or place. He just need a place. You don't want a home. You just want a piece of farm or piece of land that he can preserve and protect his culture.
Almost 400 years ago, a criminal by the name of Jan van Riebeeck landed in our native land and declared an already occupied land by the native population as a no man's land. Van Riebeeck, the first descendant of the Dutch to arrive in the Cape, will later lead a full-blown colonial genocide, anti-black land dispossession criminal project, arguing that simply because our people could not produce title deeds, this land that they have been living in for more than 1,000 years was not their own. Essentially, he was disregarding their humanity, treating them as part of the animal world. To him, and many who would have come long after him, the Africans were less than human, not deserving of land ownership.
Land is about dignity. Land is an asset that supports life. For millennia, it has supported life, enabled the creation and the development of societies, and made economic activity possible. It is fundamental to the dignity and well-being of all our people. The dispossession of land of the indigenous people of this country is therefore what I characterize as the original sin that continues to constrain the realization of the potential of our people. The return of land to those who work it is fundamental to the transformation of our society, and it is critical if we are to improve the lives of the poor people in our country.
Failures in the high-level panel report as tabled by President Kgalema make it very clear that it's because of corruption and an incapable state that we have not been able to effectively accelerate land reform programs. From a policy point of view, the DA says, let's allow individuals to be able to own land in their rights. The challenge with the amendment of expropriation without compensation is that it goes to the very issue of private property. And once you take away people's rights to own land in their own private property, not only do you stop investment, but you move away from the constitutional consensus that said that South Africa belongs to all black and white, and that Section 25 actually gives you the opportunity to be able to reform.
Would you like to narrate your story, please?
You can speak in any language.
I grew up in the field, and it's a very sad story. We train people, different people over the world, how the Bushman is living in the field, how the Bushman is growing, how the Bushman is living in the past, and how the Bushman is living like now in a technology world. And we learn people in respect, how to respect the earth, how to respect the environment, how to respect other people, how to respect animals, how to respect birds, snakes, geckos, everything on the earth, how to communicate with planes. And that's why I'm looking for a piece of land to teach people how to hunting in discipline, how to learn other people's, our language, to learn other people how to communicate with.
Because this is a rich culture. It has to be preserved so that it can then be passed on from generation to generation.
Yes. That's why I'm a trainer and a track expert. And I have a lot of skills to communicate with. Even I can communicate with snakes.
Are you serious?
Yes, I can communicate. I sleep 3 nights with a snake. I didn't know him. Before I woke up and I see the trackings, and he gives me in my mind, and I know he's a snake is here somewhere, and that's where I communicate. If a snake is coming now here, so some people is coming with different things, stones and spades and kiris and all these things, because snakes have a lot of discipline with others. That's why I grow in the field, and that's why I understand the environment. I understand the dangerous animals, lions, anything.
You just told me off camera that you can actually communicate with the lion, and you said I should come to the bush one time with you so that you can teach me. The truth be told is I will so run for my life.
Yeah,
I just thought I should tell you this now.
yes, because that's why I'm sitting like this. Before, if you go in the bush, if you're in the bush, me, I'm from the earth. Me, I'm from the sand. Me, I'm from the bush, from different animals, from the ground. I'm not smelling like mum roll,
No.
perfume, and all those things.
Yeah.
But if you work with me, coming from the other side, you have perfume, smell it like perfumes, mum roll, and all these things. The animals is know something is wrong here. Even the
then they will
birds is
let up.
flying in top. Something is because he doesn't know. Even a small animal.
I've watched that in The Gods Must Be Crazy.
Yes.
What a good movie. Now, you spoke about language. And I know at some point you were trying to get your original language. How do I pronounce it though? The Khoi Khoi Gowab.
Khoi Khoi Khowab.
Khoi Khoi.
Khoi Khoi Gowab.
Yeah.
Has it now been constitutionalized that it's now like used as a communication, a means of communication in schools? Because I know you were trying to get the language be put in some schools, right? Just like you have Afrikaans, English, Zulu, and all of them being taught in the schools. Are they doing that now?
The two of us were fortunate that we had before, say, last year, we have a 1-week workshop with Professor Hake of the University of Namibia when they launched the book, Kukuwa book.
Okay.
We said we don't want to be a project in schools. There's 2 schools that they want to implement the language are projects. Okay. We want to be included. You know, if you look at the Constitution, in the Constitution, there's a pencil act that said the Khoi and San languages must be and should be recognized. Why not? Why so many years, 23 years, and it's still not been recognized?
Why not is a very good question that I would actually love to ask if our viewers are listening right now. Why has it taken so much time, and why is it such a struggle that you people be incorporated in the system if you have been found here? I don't understand. Now, just quickly, when Mama Winnie Mandela passed on, there was talk of what to name the airport actually, and it's still a talk that is ongoing. What is your suggestion on that?
We were there. If you look at the newspapers and every SABC, so they play our view as well. We said it cannot be that Mama Winnie. We know Tata Mandela and Mama Winnie played a big role in South Africa, but it cannot be in every city, in every street. It is the 2 names of them. We also are part of South Africa. We felt that in Cape Town, where everybody found us first, we felt that either 2 names, Krotoa or Sarah Bartman, which is, by the way, my great-grandmother.
I know Sarah Bartman very well.
So Sarah Bartman to me is a woman. It's a really a woman that went through hell. She
was Bartman her original name?
Yes.
Or it was given by the Westerners, the settlers when they came?
She was Sarah Bartman, but they called her Sarki Bartman. They called her Sarki, but Sarah. So my grandmother, Lena Jankis, and she was niece. Their mothers were sisters. So
all right.
I'm sitting here as a direct blood descendant of her.
All
so
right.
we felt if you rename Cape Town, by all means, give it a name of the people that are residing there. The diversity
original.
of the
The
people.
majority.
You were posting a question to him about the names that he was mentioned about the population there. In Western Cape, we are 70 to 80% Khoisan Akalas live there. In the Northern Cape, 70 to 80% Khoisan Kalas live there.
Okay.
So, if you look at renamings of the things, nowhere in South Africa there's a Khoisan name. On the airport, big buildings,
Historical monument of any nature, nothing. They
So
have
we-
not put anything
We've
there.
been left out of society, out of the existence, out of the history of South Africa. We have been left out. And we
Have
cannot
there
survive.
been any consultations to the Land Compensation Act, the bill, the regulatory bill that's going on now? Have they come to negotiate or have some sort of talks
Tomorrow
with the
at 10
Khoisan
in
people?
Gauteng, there's
Anything?
one. The problem with us is you cannot come with a ready-made bill and come in to present us here.
Yes.
If you want to talk about us, and if you want to make recommendations of law with us, to make us law.
Affects us. Yeah.
Or it affects us.
Yeah.
You need to speak with us.
So that before we can actually write the constitution, we are
Yes.
in agreement.
But what we say is, there's nothing for us
Without us.
without us. If you want to talk about us, you come and you speak to us. You don't come with information to us and tell us or come or force that onto us. By the way, the term black, I want to speak on about this.
Yes.
The term black, I always ask, I've asked Mr. Korjas, he was the then editor of Sowetan. I asked him a fundamental question. Can all colored people be called coloreds?
And what was his response?
Can all black people be called blacks? And he said, no, the real Khoisan or the real colored people or the real Khoisan people should stand up. And I said, no. There's no such term like colored. Yes, it's there, but we are not colored.
Wow.
We are Khoi and we are San people. But what I really want to say, and I want the world out there to know this,
Yeah.
the land belongs to the Khoi and the San people. This is our land. But we will share it with everybody. But the ownership of the land belongs to the Khoi and the San people.
Wonderful. Now, just quickly, we literally have just a minute, a few last remarks from you. What happens now? Maybe let me start with you.
Yeah, Yvonne, you see, but you see, there's a lot of talks, lot of struggle from our culture, lot of struggle from our identity. I'm sitting in front of you now. I have my own business. I have a media company, I have an NGO, but there's nothing for me or to help us for funding, for grant and so on.
So the government has to consider that and at least inclusive, just like any other living human being. South Africa is for all South Africans that live in it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, Yvonne, my last take to this is to the world. I can tell you this thing, the Khoisan people is rising. You can look in Cape Town, just recently in Easterus, the people, the Khoisan people are totally fed up. Enough is enough. You know, remember, the Khoisan people are very religious people. We invited everybody in.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
lastly,
Only
quickly.
thing I want to say is, Khi
Laba Oip,
Laba Oip,
the Khoisan,
Khi
Laba
Laba
Oip.
Oip, the Khoisan revive. That's all.
Thank you so much for being with us today on the program and hoping that the world is watching and the world has to hear your story. And let's see how the government will handle this. But the South African government still continues with the Land Expropriation Without Compensation Bill. I know it has been back and forth, trying to reach a negotiation and a consensus. But on that note, My Money's Party and others such as the Freedom Front Plus have rejected the Land Expropriation Without Compensation, saying that it threatened property rights and would damage the economy. On the other hand, President Cyril Ramaphosa said government planned to use expropriation of the land without compensation to bring working class communities closer to their areas of work and to address the plight of labor tenants in farming communities. Well, that's all we have time for this evening. Thank you so much for watching and join us again next week as we bring you more on Worldview.